Hello and welcome back, students. This is your second lecture for the sectors of Indian economy, your chapter number 2 of economics of class 10 CBSE. We have in lecture we have seen about the classification of sector on the basis of primary, secondary and tertiary, or say how they are basically classified on the basis of economic activity. In this one we'll be looking at GDP in detail. In that one also your GDP was there, but it was in a short form. In this one we'll be discussing more about GDP. I told you in the previous lecture that it was your gross domestic product, and we'll be looking at the importance of tertiary sector. Let's talk about how let me give you a nutshell of this video. If you talk about the two topics, your GDP, if you talk about your GDP stands for gross domestic product. If you talk about gross means total, domestic means within the country, product means whatever is produced. So it's basically if it will define GDP, it will be defined as the value, or rather I'll add up the final value of all three sectors. Let me explain you further. If you talk about your final value is when the goods are consumed by consumer. If you take example of raw cotton, it's not directly consumed by the consumer. If yarn is made, so it's basically can be used. If a fabric is made out of that, if a garment is made out of that, fine, you'll understand this one. If suppose raw cotton is at rupees 10 per kg, I'm just giving an example. Yarn is thread is at rupees 100 per kg. Can I say that the value of raw cotton is already included in this yarn? Probably you understand this one. It's the value of cotton is already included in this yarn. And if suppose the fabric which is made out of this one is sold at rupees, I'm just giving an example, is 1000 rupees per kg, since all kg is going on, so I'm just for comparing situation. Can we say that the value of this yarn is already there in this fabric in 1000 rupees? For sure it is there. If this fabric is again converted into garment and it's sold at rupees 2000 per kg, so again the value of fabric will be there in the garment. So the final value is when the goods are consumed by the consumers, means whenever, like suppose if a person is buying fabric, so this 1000 rupees will be added up to GDP, not the price of cotton, not the price of yarn. In the same way, if a garment is purchased by any of the consumer, means they are basically purchasing it for say self-consumption. So that's the thing, when the goods are consumed by the consumers, at that time your GDP is the value of the product goes in GDP. If we talk about next one, the next topic in this one was the importance of tertiary sector. It's another important one. It's a good question from the examination point of view. If you talk about this one, the question is why there is an importance, or say why tertiary sector is rising a lot these days. The first point, if you talk about why tertiary sector is basically rising, because your more services are generated. Second one, if you talk about your more development, you will find there in agriculture and industry. The more agriculture industry works, more service sector services will be required by them. Third one, if we talk about the income of people have also gone up. Because of this one, they are basically more of in demand of more services like private school, private hospitals, your more internet facilities, IT facilities and all. Fourth one, if we talk about your IT based services, everything nowadays is on basis of IT. So IT is another important IT sector, or say service sector, which is basically providing. If we talk about IT, if we talk about telecom in there, we say telecom services. Fine. So that's the importance of tertiary sector, and because of these four factors, your tertiary sector is gaining importance these days. Let's see the value of the goods and services in the three sectors. If you talk about how they are calculated and then added up, let's see. The economist suggests that the value of goods and services should be used rather than adding up the actual numbers. For example, a farmer grows cotton and sells to the textile industry, and the textile industry makes shirts and adds button and thread and sell it at the higher rate. The goods are used in producing final goods and services. I forgot to tell you one thing when I was giving you a nutshell. In this one, if I'll go back, this thread, if it's going to an industry, it's not going to the market. If this fabric is going to the industry, not going to the market, all these the goods which are basically getting transported, or say they are basically getting processed further, they are known as intermediate goods. Means yarn going into fabric making industry. So this yarn is an intermediate good. If this fabric is going to the garment industry, so this fabric is an intermediate good to the garment, and the value of intermediate goods are already added up in the final goods when they are sold in the market. The same thing they are talking about here. The intermediate goods are used up in the producing final goods and services. The value of final goods are already included in the value of intermediate goods, so they are used in making of the final goods. I suppose it's clear. Next one, if we talk about the next part, the importance of tertiary sector, or why tertiary sector is rising these days. Let's see. I have already discussed 4 major points with you. Is your more services being given to the people by the government, if we talk about your more development of industries and agriculture. Then thirdly, we had discussed about your increase in income of the people, and fourthly, we talked about your IT. Let's talk about them. If you talk about in any country, there are several services which are required, like hospitals, education institution, your telegraph services, your police stations. The development of agriculture and industries lead to the development of services, like more transport, and industries will be using more transport. Your agriculture will be using more trade and more storage facilities. Due to the increased level of income, the third point what I had discussed before is basically increasing to the more demand of the services. Then new services based on IT, information technology and communication, have become an important and the essential part in this one. So that's all for this lecture. Thank you so much for watching.